time to go racing.
The pressure's really on now. And it's pole position.
It's pedal to the metal, go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the PSGL YouTube channel for round number 6 of this F2 tier. My name is Dan, and today I'm being joined by the one and only, I'm pleased to say that he is back in the commentary booth with me this week. I'm joined by Chris Buxton. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
Ready and raring to go. Call me biased, but I love Silverstone. It is one of my favourite circuits, and we still have yet to find a double winner in this tier. 5 rounds, 5 different winners, and the top part of the field is still very, very close. One victory is all that separates pretty much the top 9 drivers. Absolutely amazing stuff. Bring it on. Love it.
Absolutely, of course, we're headed to the Silverstone Circuit in Britain, where it all began in Formula 1. And we're going to have some cracking action. Let's have a look at our track map coming in for tonight. You can see this is actually Italy, so I do apologise for that, everybody. But we have the Silverstone Circuit. 26 laps are on this 5.891 kilometre long circuit. Strategy, like Italy last week, is pretty clear-cut. Soft to medium or medium to soft. And the world record time around here is a 1 minute 27.09. 97, and this circuit really does bring some great action, of course, because I believe they're at full throttle for about 75% of the lap, if I'm not mistaken.
In that region, yeah, because these cars have got such high downforce, they can take a lot of these corners flat or near flat. So some other categories, GT cars can't quite be so heavy with the right foot, but yeah, this particular iteration of Silverstone we've had since 2011. The only amendment is the start-finish straight. It's now called the Hamilton Straight. So strictly speaking, we're on a new version, if you want to call it that. But yeah, Silverstone's seen a number of redesigns over the years, from starting as an airfield perimeter road in the 50s to what it has now become. And in my opinion, it is a stunning, stunning circuit. I was there in 2018, got thoroughly sunburnt at the time because we were in the midst of a horrendous heat wave, but it is an amazing circuit, and I'm very glad to that we are here for PSGL F2 for this evening, because the racing we've had thus far, we've had some unusual moments, granted, but by and large we've had some amazing racing.
Absolutely, of course, my mind goes back to round number 1 at Bahrain. That was a brilliant race, but also what was quite a decent race considering the circumstances was last week in Italy, and it was a pretty crazy one. My voice at the end almost completely just stopped working on me, but the man to come out on top on that one was, of course, this man here, Shazoo Neon, from about 15th on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. He won that race. He came second on track. He might have actually come a little bit further back behind, maybe in 4th or 5th, but races by the in-game stewards and of course by the PSGL stewards actually put him in favour to win this race, and I don't know if he was expecting it or not, qualifying so low down, but he did really well to take that victory, and we'll see how that affects the championship standings. We don't have a graphic this week, but I will read them out to you, and just one thing to note, this is my own spreadsheet that I've got, so there might be some inaccuracies, but please do bear with me. Samuel Bean currently leads the way in the championship on 39 points. He's scored in every race so far this season, so we do have to watch out for him. Second is Piotr Stahalek. He's 8 points back from Samuel Bean. He's on 38. 38, 31. Do apologise, getting all my numbers mixed up. And someone who is a bit of a dark horse, I'd say, Paris Borel. Currently on 28 points. He's in third at the moment, and he has been really strong lately, Chris, hasn't he? He's picked up, a win and a podium in the last 2 races. We really do have to watch out for him in this race.
Yep, and if I was to put my money on anyone to take the top honours, I went with Paris Burrell. There's so many worthy nominees, as Dan will go through in a bit, that there's several different people in the background have chosen several different people. So I've gone with Paris. Like you say, he's been so strong. Wasn't with us in the first 2 rounds. Sadly, didn't finish at Spa, but has seen the podium twice out of the last 2 rounds, top step and second step respectively. Hopefully that's not a downward trend. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty damn good going. On 28 points, right up there, joint with Get Owned as well, in the 3rd place spot after just a few rounds. But yeah, Sam Bean, I believe I'm correct in saying, is the only driver to have scored in every round thus far. So I always say consistency is king, and Sam is certainly proving that point.
Yeah, he's doing really well so far this season, and as I'm looking at the title fight as it is showing up, he is the only driver to have scored in every single race, as you mentioned. He's joint with Get Owned at the moment, who sits on 2 podiums. Jeffrey Ritchie, who's only got 22 points despite taking the win from Belgium. He sits currently in 5th, and then of course last week's race winner, Shazoo Neon, he's on the same amount as well on 22. He's in 6th, but I do believe Countback brings him back because he's had less 5th places, if I'm not mistaken. So in 7th, Sam McBride, of course, he took a race ban last week for some antics in the Netherlands. He comes back fresh-headed into this one. We do have to watch out for McBride as well, of course, winning the French Grand Prix. And then Arun Pedreño in 8th. 9th for Norbert Jacob on 18 points. And then Tom Martinez rounds out our top 10. And I'll just list off the rest of the grid from 11th downwards. We've got Andreas Dormeyer in 11th. 12th for Christian Sendel. Ika Baena in 13th, who actually won on track last race, and then a penalty knocked him down a good few positions. I believe he finished in 6th in that race. Then John Evans in 14th, 15th for Chanakinchi, Oscar Villacampa in 16th, Dylan Warren in 17th, Yari Fitz in 18th, 19th for Hausman, 20th for Ulysse Zildrum, Louis Welch in 21st, Floss Veers in 22nd, and then Antoine Dezaluski, he rounds out our grid this season. So it's looking really close in this championship. Quickly, I'll list off the constructors as well. We've got Alpha Tauri currently leading on 51 points, 1 point ahead of Haas, and then Red Bull are in 3rd. 4th for Williams on 34 points. Ferrari have been pretty consistent this season in 5th on 27. McLaren just 1 point back from them in 6th. 7th for Alpine. 8th for Aston Martin. Mercedes in 9th. And rounding out the grid is Alfa Romeo. Before we do get into our race tonight, I do have one thing that I'd like to mention. It pretty much affects everything in PSGL, and I think we're in the right circumstances to use the breaking news little scene that we've got here. That this is, fortunately and unfortunately, my last race in F2, and it's not for sad reasons. I don't have to go away or anything. Because this brings me on to some very nice news that I've got here, is that I will be partaking in F1 alongside George Morgan in the commentary box. Of course, Jack Canan is going off to university for his final year. I wish him the best of luck, but I will be taking his place, and I'll be leaving you all in the capable hands of Chris and, I believe, Aladar, if I'm not mistaken.
You're indeed not mistaken. It is Jacob Aladar Hancocks that is joining me in the box. I'll be taking over streaming duties. I must say, a very, very well-deserved promotion for you, Mr. Field. We very much look forward to seeing the F1 streams with yourself in the box. Very much looking forward to that. Bravo, sir.
Absolutely, I'm very excited, but we do have to turn our attention to the British Grand Prix coming up. We won't be too far off of heading into an 18-minute qualifying session around the first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix, of course, where it all started all the way back 71 years ago in 1950, and it's safe to say F1 has come a long way in terms of speed and safety since then. We've only got 10 more seconds before all the drivers are loading in. Just have one more little look at what we are headed to. Of course, Silverstone Circuit in Britain, 26 laps, 5.891 kilometre long in length, and then the strategy is going to be soft to medium, but we do have a potential for rain, everybody. Do not forget that we could possibly see the heavens opening up because it is Britain, and what do you most associate Britain with? Of course, the rain, but hopefully for the speed factor, we keep it all dry this season.
Yeah, it's a fairly good chance of rain in good old Northamptonshire, where Silverstone is based. Oh, yeah, we're seeing a prediction for pole there. Well, okay, that's a bold one, but with how mixed the results have been thus far for this tier, I mean, anything is possible.
Absolutely. I assume it is from the from Ian Warren in chat there, is saying HX4K, pole and P1, and you know what? I wouldn't be too far off of agreeing. I've been in a couple of Discord calls lately with John Evans, of course, HX4K himself, and you know, they've been doing practice with some of the F1 drivers as well. I don't think I'll mention who, but he's looked pretty quick around this track, so maybe this could be his perfect track to take a possible surprise win. Of course, he's only on 10 points at the moment. All of Mercedes' points have actually come out from HX4K himself. So it is possible, you know. I don't think we could be too far off of seeing HX4K taking a win. As I think we'll go through all of the pundit predictions once we're loading into the race. Of course, we've got 18 minutes of qualifying. The fastest lap, one lap pace around this track. That will decide who starts on the front row and on pole for the British Grand Prix. We've just got 13 more seconds, then we will be loading in. Hopefully everyone's got their popcorn with them and they're getting excited for this one, because it is going to be brilliant as we are just about to load in now. And I'll pull you over to our race scene here. Slight cloud coverage above at the moment, but all in all, looking pretty sunny.
So far, so good, as far as the weather is concerned, just highly unusual. But we'll see what everybody does. Glad to see we've got a full grid ahead of us. So 20 cars ready to do battle on Silverstone's many twists and turns. You can tell it's a classic circuit because the corners are named instead of numbered. One of the Mercs has broken cover and is coming out. Who has decided to come onto the field? It is... I don't know, because my overlay hasn't told me yet.
It's got a Ferrari coming out on track. That's either Villacampa or Norberto. It's indeed Norberto. And I believe it's HX4K, the Mercedes driver that's broken cover. His teammate actually not turned up tonight. We have a debutant currently in the pit lane. That's Joshua Kazani, VRT Josh. He's going to be filling in for Antoine Desolowski, who's not had the greatest season so far. I'm really interested to see actually what Josh can do, considering this is his first race of the season already at the halfway point. Could be, maybe he could pull out an unexpected result if he's quick enough today.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've already said, this field is so strong. Yeah, anything is certainly possible. Antoine Desolowski has had I think it's fair to say, a pretty disastrous season. Not seeing any points in any of the 5 rounds. We didn't see him in the Netherlands, and he failed to finish twice and was outside of the points thereafter. So we will see how the cards are going to go. Everybody is out on the soft tyres. Yari Fitz is thinking about the mediums, but we'll probably bin that one. Most people are out now to start their first flying laps of the night. Let's see how we get down.
Absolutely. So it's going to be Norberto, the first driver to take us off on a lap. And it's nice to know that I think I know most of the corner names on this track. He's just come through the Vale chicane and now in towards Club to begin his lap on towards the Hamilton Straight. And already the first sector, it goes completely from my mind. But in sector 2, I'll pick it up through turn number 1 and through, I believe, what this is, Farm. He's got a Williams car just in front of him. Samuel Bean, our championship leader, putting off to the right-hand side, getting out of his way, coming through the loop section here and on to the Wellington Straight. if I'm not mistaken, opening up the DRS and going underneath the Armco here in towards Brooklands. He's looked pretty nice so far on this lap. Has VRT Norberto now through Luffield. This long-winded right-hander, you got to be careful on the throttle and then put it flat to the floor through Woodcut and onto the National Pit Straight, where of course they used to start before, I believe, the 2011 regulations. Through Cops Corner now, the flat-out right-hander, brilliant. See the prancing horse flying through there in towards Maggots and Beckett's, now the most infamous corners possibly on the F1 calendar, and through Chapel he goes now to begin the final sector down the Hangar Straight. You can see foot flat to the floor in it, in speeds of excess up to about 320 almost kilometers per hour through Stowe Corner now, running it out wide in towards the Vale chicane, just going past the pit lane entry here. Vierto Norberto, he looked a bit shaky at some points, but overall he's been pretty clean and consistent on this lap so far. We'll see what he does across the line. It's going to be a 26.6 to begin us off here in qualifying.
Bravo, sir. You only missed 2 corner names. Turn 1 is Abbey and turn 4 is Aintree, which leads on to the one into straight. Otherwise, spot on, sir. So, yes, first time on the board is Norberto, 26.615. Hawk has got another one on, 27.818. I think it's fair to say that the Mercedes has got a bit more in it. Jari Fitz has come out on medium tyres, has he? No, he hasn't. He's come out on soft. It says my overlay is incorrect. Yep, there we go. Although Martinez has come out on mediums. Paris Burrell did briefly hold the pole spot, 26.4. Now Dylan Warren, that's more like it, 26.181 on the board from the McLaren. Nicely done. Expect to be seeing someone in the mid-25s, I would have thought. We'll see how well these guys are pushing. No one, I say, Martinez is the only one that is braving the medium tyres. Curious.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Tom Martinez has opted for this medium set. We'll see how he gets on this lap. He's just coming through at the Wellington Straight. More times begin to come onto the board as Christian Sendell goes just a couple of hundred or even 1,000 quicker than Dylan Warren as Get-Owned goes into third. But we are watching the Alpine car of Tom Martinez, who has been improving steadily each week, caught up in an incident last time out in Italy. We'll see how he can get on in this race through Cops. He's got to do a slight lift here as he is struggling on the medium tyres. The Chanakinchi so close to the 25s. We are getting closer with about 12 minutes to go in qualifying. See what Tom Martinez can do through the second sector, braving it on the set of the medium. Sam McBride has done a 45.8. I'd expect one of the race winners this season to do a bit quicker lap than that, as Tom Martinez through Stowe Corner will actually ride on board with Hausman just coming up to the end of his lap. We'll go on with Jari Fitz, who won it almost on track last week. He comes in 7th, Christian Hausman into 10th. And what about Tom Martinez to cross the line? It's going to be 13th position for him, and if I just quickly get the tyre graphic up for you here, I believe he's gone quicker than some soft runners. He's gone quicker than Joshua Kazani and HX4K. I'm going to assume that Sam McBride's lap is not representative, but to go quicker than both Mercedes on the medium compound tyres, that's impressive from Tom Martinez there.
Not bad at all. It's generally around 6 to 8 tenths of a second difference between medium and soft. So that's a very, very good time on the slower tyre from Tom Martinez. Yeah, a bit of an unusual one from Sam McBride. Maybe he's decided to lap Spa instead. But either way, I'm sure we can see a little bit better from him. Louis Welch, get that right, is out on his out lap as well. I think, has he invalidated it? Nope, he's continuing. Oh, no, okay, he's hasn't even started it yet. Invalidating out lap, for God's sake, Chris, think about what you're saying. Ruben Pedreño is up into 5th position. Good time there, 26.265, just 0.04 of a second behind Get-Owned. Yet again, we're seeing the times very, very, very close together, and that's just the initial laps. We haven't seen anyone's Banzai laps, of course, because we aren't towards the end of qualifying. Louis Welch has started his time in the Alpine. We'll see how he gets on by the end of the lap. Looks like, Ikebana is with us. Like I said, we haven't seen. He's not had a great run of success, but good, he could well be on for a good result, but then, like we said before, everybody could potentially be on for a good result. That's just the nature of this split, isn't it? Everybody is so close on times and what have you, as I think Lewis Walsh has actually set a purple sector 1, so he's doing pretty well on the Alpine. Somebody getting out of his way, so he's screaming on down towards Cops. So keeping an eye on how the Alpine is doing. It's impossible to throw the dice at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking through Maggots and Beckett's here. Is Louis Welch now through Chapel Corner, and we'll see it. It's a 102.5, and I believe that is pretty competitive. Of course, we just had the recent patch, the performance update, so the cars have been slowed down by quite a lot. That's why the times that you're seeing here are a lot slower than the times we saw in the social race before the season started. Also see Louis Welch come through Club Corner now. What's it going to be for him? It's going to be fastest of all. The first driver to go into the 1 minute 25. Just a 1 minute 25.914. Really nice stuff from the Alpine car. And I believe he is really enjoying this new update. It is sort of geared towards more the pad. And of course, Louis Welch, I believe, is the only pad driver on this grid. Of course, if anyone in the live chat would correct me if I'm wrong, but Louis Welch, I'd say that is a very respectable time coming out from him there.
I have a huge amount of respect for pad warriors. I honestly do, because if you can set a time like that on a pad, absolutely salute you. That is superb. These guys set times in the wet that I can only ever dream of setting in the dry. So the fact that these guys can do that on a pad as well, yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Well done, you, sir.
It absolutely is really impressive stuff coming out from Louis Welch, his TF10 teammate of HX4K. Of course, someone's tipped him for pole position. He's just gone into second place.
Oh, he's close.
He is very close to the back of his teammate. I'm trying to catch someone towards the end of their laps. I believe we can maybe catch Paris Borel on his run at the moment. Of course, won the Dutch Grand Prix, a podium in the last race. So he's looking really competitive coming into these two, into the halfway point of the season. Of course, currently sitting third in the standings despite doing only 3 races this season. Paris Borel in adulation through Cop's Corner here and through Maggots and Beckett. He's got an Alfa Romeo car just in front of him. Hopefully that's not Dirty Egg getting in his way and putting him off course. As Christian Hausmann pulls off to the right-hand side, Tom Martinez to the left. Paris Borel slightly down on his previous best time so far, but potentially through Stowe he can make it up and in towards Vale Chicane. He can find some time if he gets this corner absolutely perfect. Bit of a slide through there, but he has done it pretty nicely indeed. Paris Borel now through the final sector and to cross the line. What's it going to be? And he does improve by just about 1.25 tenths. And he goes into 11th position. And if he's starting outside the top 10, he can use the alternate strategy. It's not that strong around this circuit, but it can help him out in the long run.
I can't get his name right. Kinchi, purple, sector 2, coming through Vale now. Can he climb further up the ladder? He only needs to find a 10th, and he does! A 25.873 to reclaim the top spot for Aston Martin.
Brilliant stuff coming out from Canan Kinci there, the Turkish driver. As his teammates just crossed the line as well, but Villacampa towards the line comes in 7th position, just under a 10th up on his previous best. We've got Andreas Dormeyer just beginning a lap. I think the McLaren driver of Dylan Warren has just completed a lap, if I'm not mistaken. He's gone into 4th position, so times are improving. 6 minutes left in this qualifying session. We are getting to the nitty-gritty. Only 2 drivers yet to set a lap at the moment. Ika Baena is one of them, and he is through the final sector now. He's looking about a couple tenths off the top, and he is into 5th position for the Williams outfit. And Jari Fitz goes into 4th, so the time's improving yet again. They are closing in on Canan Kinci, and I think he might not be feeling all too safe in this qualifying session.
Crikey, I dare say. I mean, ignoring Sam McBride's slightly unusual time, although it has improved since we last looked at it. It is 8 tenths of a second, first to 18th. Yet again, so close as we are getting towards the closing end of qualifying here at Silverstone. Andreas Dormeyer is on a flying lap now as he's come through Cops, heading towards Maggots and Beckett. Has he got clear road ahead of him? Well, he does for a while at least. as working his way through. Beckett's now. He's got a Ferrari a little bit up the road, but shouldn't be close enough to upset him at all. And that's purple sector 2 for the Red Bull. So still time out there to be found. DRS open, swings through Stowe, heading down towards Vale. Keeping nice and steady, which he does. Heavy on the brakes at about 75 metres. Bounces over the apex, coming through Club. What can he do from here? No time yet on the board. Ooh, the tail got a little bit loose, and that's cost him a bit of time at 26.206. It's only 4 tenths off the top spot, but it sees him outside the top 10.
Yeah, in 11th position. That 10th place is currently held by Christian Hausmann on an in-lap at the moment. I don't believe anyone is on a push lap at this point in time. Just quickly scrolling through the grid, see if we can find anyone. And I don't believe anyone is on a push lap at the moment. Samuel Bean, I think Samuel Bean's starting a lap. Or if it is, he might actually be finishing one here. My mistake there. And he goes across the line, goes 4 thousandths quicker than Jari Fitz. And he goes into P6 with a 1 minute 26.042. But I fear he might not have enough time to get back into the pits and get a lap done. I think he's got 4 minutes left in the session. So if he can get round quick here and then do go quick on his outlap, then he will be in strong stead. Someone who's just come out for their outlap, maybe trying to look to do 2 runs. We can see Sam McBride on a 35.333. I'd imagine this time is not representative of his pace. And, well, if it is, I'm not too sure how he got into F2, if that is the case. But I'd imagine that he is going to go a lot quicker. Of course, winning a race this season, round number 2 in France. He was very strong there, led it pretty much from the very beginning. I think that was actually the biggest gap between P1 and P2 at the line between himself and Piotr Stahelek. So, really, that was the most dominant race we've seen so far this season. He wasn't even too far ahead of his rivals. So Sam McBride, driver to definitely look out for. He's got 3 minutes and 15 seconds. He could probably do 2 runs here, but he's going to be focusing on the present, the now, of course. And he's going to be coming through Sector 2 to complete his outlap and go on to start his flying lap.
Yeah, quite a number of people coming out onto track now to do their Banzai phase, as I call it. John Evans has got his face full of Jeffrey Ritchie at the moment, so that's not going to be ideal for him. Now he's very, very close to the back of the house. What's he going to do from here? Is he going to keep? Is he going to keep there, or is he going to back off a bit? He hasn't got a lot of time, but obviously plenty of time to start this lap and another one if he so chose to. What is Sam McBride doing? He's not long started his lap. This was one of the Alphas. He's just gone past. A little bit of a lockup coming into Village. Nothing too bad. Into the loop. He's got a little bit of free air ahead of him. Let's keep an eye on him as well. There's more and more people coming out for out laps. People doing a fairly good job of actually getting pretty well spaced out. And people staying quite well behaved who aren't on push laps as well, which I'm quite pleased to see. Oh, and that's gone wrong for Sam McBride coming down into Luffield. The tail just did not want to behave, and he had to turn left into a right-hander. That's that lap pretty much done.
Yep, and that is the beauty of going out a little bit earlier, is that you do have the time to go out for a second push lap. The degradation isn't too awful around here either. So Sam McBride, I think it was the right decision for him to come out a little bit earlier than some of the other drivers. Of course, he could have caught traffic, and the other drivers actually did a pretty good job of getting out of his way. But we'll watch HX4K on his run at the moment through Maggotts and Beckett. You got the Haas car of, I believe, Jeffrey Ritchie just in front of him. So we'll see if he can avoid him coming through Chapel Corner now, a little bit onto the grass there. But he is up by just over a tenth of a second. There's a traffic paradise here, Ghetto and desyncing all over the place. Jeffrey Ritchie goes straight on at Stowe, doing a really good job to actually give HX4K the toe down the straight. As through now, the Vale chicane, we watch the Mercedes car. And he's looked really strong in practice. We'll see what he does as he crosses the line. This could be his final run in qualifying. He's not too much quicker than Chanakinchi, who's on an outlap at the moment, but it's a current 25.861. A very impressive time, I'd say, for the Mercedes driver. He puts himself in strong stead for this race, but it's not over yet because we've got a number of drivers still on push laps and still have the opportunity to beat HX4K here.
Sam McBride went again, so he realised that he had been that lap, and he's potentially doing well. Dylan Warren for McLaren has taken that pole time again. I did say we're going to be in the 25s. I thought we'd be in the mid 25s. Not far off that, in fairness. 25.830. Really unbelievably close times. Yet again, I'm keeping an eye on Sam McBride to see what he can get on the board. He's coming through Maggots and Beckett's now. Everybody is either on a push lap or has done one, as we are getting towards the death of the qualifying session now. What can happen here? Checkered flag is out. So first man over the line is going to be the second McLaren of Sam McBride. He's just gone through Stowe and heading down towards Vale now. What can he do? 125.830 his teammate has set, so the entire field bookended by McLaren. What is Sam McBride going to get on the board? It's a much more representative time. It's another 25.9, this time 25.945. That's 5 drivers in the 25.9s alone.
Absolutely getting very close in this qualifying session, right at the very death of it. Ruben Pedreño, I think, is the next driver to cross the line. He's unfortunately invalid at this point, so we'll watch Jeffrey Ritchie come up to the line. He's valid on his run, and he goes into 12th position as the Alpha Tauri now of Paris Burrell is about to cross the line. We'll catch him at the end of his lap. He goes into that is 12th position for him there. The two Aston Martins through the final sector. Chanakinchi just a little bit down on his previous best time. We'll see what he can do coming up towards the line, flying through Club Corner, and he's not enough to beat Dylan Warren. 6,000ths of a second between the pair of them there as Joshua Kazani is about to cross the line. He goes 3/10 quicker, but it's not enough to get him off the bottom row of the grid as Andreas Dormeyer spins off at the final corner. That's his qualifying put to a swift end there, as I believe the rest of the grid has completed their laps. They'll be filing into the pit lane there. Dylan Warren by 6,000ths of a second of Chanakinchi, who just fell short at the final hurdle. He starts on the front row alongside him there. But what a qualifying session we've got that we've just seen. Let's have a look at all the gaps between the drivers. The entire grid separated by less than half a second. The top 5 alone separated by about 1/10, the top 10 2/10, and then the rest of the grid 5/10 of a second. Incredible how close this grid is as usual, and I hope they can carry that in to this race. And it's going to be a very interesting one there. We're just waiting for Tom Martinez's Alpine car to be pulled into the pit lane, and we can get underway racing.
And right on cue. As the qualifying session now over and done with. Yeah, less than half a second separating 20 cars. And there you go, is Dylan Warren for McLaren on the front row along with Chanakinchi. Then it is John Evans with Lewis Welch, row 2. And Christian Sindel and Sam McBride, row 3. Sam Bean and Ruben Pedreño on row 4. Tom Martinez and Yari Fitz round out the top 10. Winner last time out, Neo, is on row 6 with Paris Burrell. Paris was the one I put on getting the top spot, and he's only off that by 2.5 tenths, but look how far down the field that is. Jeffrey Ritchie and Get Owned is rounds out row 7, and I'm going to run out of time before getting to the end.
And we got Ika Baena, Christian Hausman, VLT, Norberto, Andres Dormeyer, Oscar Villacampa, and then Joshua Kazani rounds out the grid. But whilst they load into the session, we will catch our predictions for this race. We'll start off with Big C, who picks Dylan Warren to win this race, and well, I think he's probably got the best prediction out of all of us so far. Currently on pole by 6,000ths of a second. 6,000ths? 6,000ths of a second. As Wilson Hughes as well put a pretty good prediction. HX4K to win this one. He starts on row 2. Ours are a little bit more out of the box. I've gone with Ruben Pedreño, and that's because I think he's been a bit unlucky this season with some of the penalties he's gotten. He's had great pace, and I think he really can show it around a circuit like Britain, which a lot of the drivers do tend to love. And you've gone with Paris Burrell to win this race. Talk us through your pick there.
Out of the 5 races we've had, he didn't finish in Spa. He won at Netherlands and was second last time out of Monza. So he's clearly got pace. We haven't seen him all that many times to see how lucky he is so far. But you're well within the top 5 of the championship so far, after only just scoring a finish in 3 rounds. Well, I beg your pardon, in 2 rounds, not finishing one of them, and wasn't with us for the first 2. That to me is was a great pace potential in that car, but he starts in 12th, so we'll see what he's able to do from there. But like we've seen before, people outside of the top 10 have come through to win before now. Neon last week, prime example.
Absolutely, and before we get into this race, let's just have a quick look at our track statistics. Of course, we're at the Silverstone Circuit in Great Britain. 26 laps of this 5.891 kilometre long circuit, and then the strategy is looking to be a soft to medium or medium to soft. And if we go back over to our race scene here, it's pretty evident to see that a lot of drivers are thinking the same thing. It's pretty much 50-50 split, aside from one dissenting individual, and it's your pick actually to win this race.
Yeah.
Paris Burrell going for the alternate strategy, you could put it, because of course if you're starting outside the top 10, you're likely to go into a set of the mediums at the beginning and then softs at the end. But he's gone on the softs very early here.
That tells me he's confident about his pace. Or he's just going to YOLO it and see what happens. If he wasn't that confident about his pace, he'd probably go with the more expected strategy of medium to soft, starting outside of the top 10. I reckon he's got faith in his pace and his abilities to be able to pull that off. Like I said, he's seen the podium already twice, and starting in 12th on the soft tells me he reckons he's going to get towards the sharper end.
Well, I'd certainly love to see him get to that point, as he's phasing through Yari Fitz in the moment as all the drivers pull into their grid slots. As we'll go on board with Joshua Kazani, not for the start of the race, just until he gets into his grid slot. He's just coming through the Bell chicane now and in towards Club. The front row lined up by the McLaren of Dylan Warren, of course, getting a 1-2 in Monza. The McLaren team could be winning in F2 today. Janik Kinchi starting in P2 as Joshua Kazani pulls into his grid stop. As here we are, all full silent at the Silverstone Circuit, but the revs begin to build. The lights come on here in PSGL F2. Round number 6 at Britain is underway, and we'll see who gets the better start of the lead. It's a clear-cut Dylan Warren in towards turn number 1, the Alpine car of Louis Welch, trying to go up the inside of John Evans, and oh dear, Louis Welch round at Abbey of turn number 1 at least, as I think Joshua Kazani caught up in that one there, as a lot of drivers swapping and shuffling positions, as HX4K trying to challenge Janik Kinchi. It's Sam McBride up the inside of Samuel Bean, side by side now, on towards the Wellington straight here. Samuel Bean just going to come out on top, and here comes Ruben Pedreño. I think Sam McBride has actually got a bit of front wing damage on that McLaren car, as Yari Fitz trying to look up the inside potentially as well, sneaking up the inside of Brooklands. That McLaren car definitely wounded. He's got damage. Paris Burrell already up into 7th position. Christian Sendell going past the McLaren as well. He's just tumbling down the order, pushing off Jeffrey Ritchie at this point. Big wing damage for Sam McBride there.
What a shame. Sam McBride actually had a cracking leap off the line. I was on board with him when the lights went out, but sadly that has all undone itself very, very quickly. So it's Dylan Warren from Janik Kinchi. Then it is John Evans and Sam Bean top 4, with Ruben Pedreño right there ready to do battle if it needs be. Yeah, Louis Welch, not really sure what happened to him. He just sort of had I couldn't really see if he'd been hit. Oh no, we've lost Sam already. So hopefully that's not going to cause us lobby issues, but his car is continuing, albeit ghosted at the moment. But Dylan Warren did a great job of hanging on to that one. But like you say, Paris Burrell, now 7th. This is what I was thinking he was confident he was going to be able to do. He knew he had to clear. The medium started right ahead of him, and already we have a penalty. That's a lot of people going towards the pit lane. Really? We have this many people with damage?
Yeah.
I'd be surprised, but I mean, it's not impossible, I suppose.
Yeah, that many drivers in on the first lap is very... it's an odd one there. Of course, simulation damage is enabled, but I hope we keep all these drivers for a little bit longer in this one. Some of them have opted for split strategies, actually. 3 of them on the hard, and I believe 4 of them, or 3 of them actually, 4 of them are on a set of the medium, so they're going to be splitting their strategies to see how they all work out. Of course, the medium's going to be quicker than the hards in the early phase of this race, but then the hards, they've got the longevity to potentially go to the end here. Safety cars, of course, not uncommon in F2. I believe we saw it 3 times in Italy, so maybe drivers who are on the mediums are holding out for them so they can get a free pit stop out of it. We'll just have to find out later on in this race, but we have to focus on the present at the moment, and the present is Dylan Warren, who's not... I would say he's not lit the world alight in league racing so far this season. This has been a splendid performance so far in this race. Lap number 2, coming on to lap number 3, he's almost a second clear and out of the DRS range of Chanakinchi, and such a high-speed circuit. The DRS is clinical to get good runs down the straightaways, the Wellington Straight and the Hangar Straight, where the likes of HX4K, who's actually closing up to Chanakinchi at the moment, can make a move. So the Turkish driver's got to be careful about his rivals at the moment, and HX4K is breathing right down the back of his neck.
Isn't he just? The Aston Martin's going to have a lot of work to keep John Evans behind him. Now onto the Wellington Straight. Can only just had DRS off the back of Dylan Warren there. He was very lucky the detection point was as early as it was, because Dylan Warren almost has that all-important second gap back to the Aston Martin. Also, DRS is going to help Cam and Jim. I'll get it right in a minute. Chan Akinci gets closer to him, but it just seems that Dylan Warren has really got the rhythm of this track. There is a definite flow that you need to achieve around Silverstone, and Dylan Warren is doing a great job. Very much so. I still feel for Sam McBride. Like I say, he had a great launch off the line, and sadly he's ghosted at the moment. His ghost has put him on another sort of soft tyres as well. So even if Sam did return, he'd have to pit that car again. So I suspect he may not return to that car. Neon on the medium tyres is just about hanging on to the back of Paris Burrell, who is hustling Yari Fitz for 6th position at the moment. Of course, that DRS train ends at Shazoo Neon at the moment. Tom Martinez is a little bit off of the top train at the moment. And speaking of Neon, with those medium tyres, has managed to get the fastest out. Actually, Getone just rejoined. I didn't actually realise we'd lost him. Apologies there, I completely missed that. Now he's on the hard tyre. Now, as several people who pitted early on are also on the harder tyre. Oh, Paris Burrell got a really twitchy in the AlphaTauri coming through the loop there. Had to put a lot of opposite lock into that car to keep it pointing in the right direction. Doing well to hang on to it. There the time is reset as probably Ghetto now rejoined the session as Andreas Dormeyer has added his name to the penalty board. Oh no, we've lost him! Oh,
it's in the pit lane there. Andreas Dormeyer gets a penalty, just decides to call it quits. Getting damage on lap number 1. Just decides it's not worth it in the end. He's the first retirement of this race if you're not counting Sam McBride. But at the front of the order, the battles do continue on, and Chanakinchi is, luckily for him, reeled in Dylan Warren. We've not got the deltas yet. I believe we'll get them once they cross into the onto the next lap. We'll see him come down the straightaway using up his DRS and potentially some of his overtake too, as HX4K looking on this battle. Here's Chanakinchi trying to look up the inside line potentially of Dylan Warren. It doesn't seem to work out for the Aston Martin driver, but what about HX4K? It's actually Dylan Warren, a very early pit stop for him there, comes into the pit lane. He is the first driver to box from the lead of this race as well. He doesn't want to control the pace. He's going to be coming in on lap number 4. Lap 5 just begins here. We get our deltas back, thankfully enough. As we continue on in this race, Yari Fitz seems to be the next one to try and make a move on. Maroon Pedreño is going to look up the inside line and potentially here. They bang wheels, a pair of them. Can they go cleanly through the loop section here? As around the outside goes Yari Fitz on Maroon Pedreño. Contact between the pair of them. Maroon Pedreño didn't expect him to be there. Paris Burrell sneaks up the inside line of Yari Fitz and potentially could try and make a move on Pedreño there. Bit scrappy stuff there, but luckily I don't believe either of them came out with any damage in that.
Oh, that was a bit brutish on a couple of occasions, but they have managed to survive. Look at this, the top 7. Oh, that Red Bull of Neon getting really, really squiggly as they come onto the old start finish straight. But that Red Bull is doing brilliantly well in hanging on to the soft fronters. Yeah, I'm very surprised that Dylan Warren pitted as early as he did. He's gone on to the medium tyres. He's now in no man's land. He's 22 seconds behind Villacampa, who is having an argument with Jeffrey Ritchie. Of course, they started on the medium tyres, as you can see. So that Ferrari and the Haas are having a good old scrap.
Oh, HX4K! John Evans, sorry to cut in there. He goes around the outside line. What a move.
Great move. Yeah, you've got to be confident in who you're overtaking if you're going to do that move on the outside of Stowe. Several of the soft runners now coming in. Chanakinchi's come in. Yari Fitz is in as well. So that's a little early. thought the soft would go a little bit longer than that, and John Evans setting the fastest up just to prove there's still pace in those soft tyres as yet. I think it's a bit marginal for the mediums to go that long, in honesty.
Yeah, they've got about 20 laps to do, 21 laps. Oh, there's a spinner off and it's Neon. I just caught that at the back. I was watching Paris Burrell chasing down his teammate, the de facto teammate, of course, filling in for Stahalek tonight. But, Neon just sliding the car, and all the great work that he's done early on in this race completely undone here. But news at the front, in the net lead battle at the moment, I believe Chanakinchi's just come out behind Dylan Warren at this point. Those two fighting for the lead in this one. They'll come out in 10th and 11th position there, but I'd say heartbreak for Neon winning this race. Not this race, last week, and looking so good to potentially get a good result in Britain. He might have just undone it all here.
It'd be a great shame if that is the case, but I don't think you can rely on the weather, as the cloud cover looks really favourable to stay that way, and people's tyre selection would indicate that we are in for a dry race all race long. So that is a big shame for Fignon, who was doing really well to hang on to the back of the soft starters as Houseman sweeps around the Alpine just before the braking zone of Stone. Nicely done to claim 5th position. The soft tyres look like they are done. The medium runners are now really starting to come good. Although saying that, soft runners just set the fastest lap with Ruben Pedreño. So several people still getting some really good pace out of those soft tyres, but it wouldn't surprise me if they start to fall away a bit now as the medium runners, medium starters, I should say, start to really come good. Keeping an eye on Dylan Warren as well. Yeah, Chanakinchi right on his gearbox. So Dylan Warren's not really had any respite whatsoever. Hung on to the lead for a while and may well re-inherit it when everyone ahead of him pits. We'll see. It's a bit of a shorter pit lane loss here because of where the pit lane entrance is. So it's still going to be a bit close at the moment, but there's still plenty of time for all the cards to fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it's around about 30 seconds. You actually lose in the pit lane. We'll actually just see the gap to the leader. Dylan Warren's 28 seconds off of HX4K. Of course, on a couple laps older tyres than the Mercedes driver. So he probably will come out in front of the Mercedes. The Englishman himself, possibly. Though, of course, if HX4K is a cracking in-lap when he does decide to pit, and I'd imagine that they will think about coming in soon, then he could be in great position. HX4K, as I say that, pulls off to the right-hand side to come into the pit lane, as does Ruben Pedreño. I'd imagine Paris Burrell might have wanted a pit there as well. Pedreño gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane there. I was saying, I'd imagine Paris Burrell would have wanted to pit, but of course, if Ruben Pedreño was his teammate and he wanted to pit, then he would come in and they'd have to double stack, which is just not going to work out. So he has to go out for at least one more lap in this race, but I don't think it's going to be soul crushing, I'd say.
No, there's enough life in those soft tyres to go one more round, I'd have thought, but they won't want to push it too much further, as of course John Evans and Ruben Pedreño come out with the exact same gap as they left it, and it's going to be, where's Dylan Warren? He's already gone past. Oh, that's close. That is very close. Where's Chanakinchi is behind HX4K there. Now, John Evans' tyres aren't quite going to be up to optimum tyre. For goodness sake. His tyres aren't going to be up to optimum temperature. I cannot get my words out at all. They're all wrong. Wholeheartedly apologise, ladies and gentlemen. But wow, the four-way battle for the lead has essentially just resumed. Or three-way at the moment, because Ruben Pedreño has fallen a little bit off the back. Off what is going to be the lead battle once all the pit stops are done. But wow, Dylan Warren did a pretty good job on his outlap and successive laps, but John Evans, brilliant effort there to split himself, and Chanakinchi, Sam Bean and Paris Burrell have both come in.
Absolutely, and HX4K is going to be in a brilliant position towards the end of the race because he got 2 laps, fresher tyres than Dylan Warren. He might want to go for this move coming in towards Stowe Corner. That looks like what he is going to try and go for. He takes the lead up the inside, or the net lead up the inside line of Dylan Warren in towards Stowe Corner. He makes that move stick, and I'd imagine using the fresher tyres, he might want to try and pull away and break DRS to the McLaren driver if he feels he has the pace. One of our pundits for this race, Wilson Hughes, of course, actually predicted that HX4K would win this race, and he's looking like he's in a pretty great position to do so, as Paris Burrell and I believe it was Samuel Bean fired out the pit lane. Samuel Bean has jumped Dylan Warren. The overcut has actually worked in this race. Dylan Warren now in a net P3. He was leading this race as he came to the pit lane. He's been overtaken on track by HX4K and Samuel Bean in the pit lane. He somehow jumped the McLaren driver and now could be looking onto the back of HX4K. Brilliant stuff from our championship leader in Samuel Bean.
Brilliant stuff. That's essentially now a six-way fight for the league. This is why we love racing here at PSGL. This is what we come to expect. This kind of close racing, lap on lap on lap. And you can't just automatically say, oh, it's going to go this way, it's going to go this way. They're all fighting brilliantly well so far. And let us hope it remains that way until the checker flag falls. Tom Martinez finally brings his car into the pits. I think he's done that a little bit later. Who's that following him? Jeffrey Ritchie has come in. Oh, he must have a problem because that's very early for the medium tyres. So I'm assuming then that there's a problem on the Haas. I couldn't see if there was front wing damage on his car. I'll keep an eye on him as he pits. As John Evans and crew are going to jump them in the pit lane. Does the Haas take a new front wing? Yes, it does. So soft tyres going on to Jeffrey Ritchie's car as well as a new nose.
Yeah, that's going to be touch and go as to whether he gets to the end. He'll have 16 laps, which I don't think can make it, but he will be lighter on fuel, so that could potentially be a factor in that, as Paris Burrell I just caught in the background trying to go up the inside line of his teammate Ruben Pedreño, who's falling a little bit back from the train at the moment of Chanakinchi, Dylan Warren, Samuel Bean, and the leader of the pack, HX4K. So he wanted to try and go for a move on his de facto teammate for tonight. They have no loyalty for each other because they're not actual teammates up the inside line. Paris Burrell trying to hang it now around the outside line of left field corner. The two AlphaTauri teammates doing battle here in PSGL. Almost running off the circuit is the Englishman, but now around the outside of Woodcote. They could be wheel to wheel, side by side through Cops corner. Pedreño does well to back out there, and they don't have a repeat of what happened in the Silverstone Grand Prix in real life between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. They've managed to get through it nice and cleanly, I'd say. Max and Lewis, that is how it's done. Paris Burrell moving up into a net P5 in this race here, and now he'll be challenging onto the back of Chanakinchi very soon. And here comes Samuel Bean. The battles still continue here, as now we have a new net race leader in our championship leader, looking for the repeat win, his second win this season he could potentially go for. He takes the net lead in this one. HX4K down to second, but all in the space of about 3/4 of a lap. We've seen some brilliant stuff from the drivers today.
And plenty more to come, I dare say, with 25 laps still to go. Sorry, 15 laps, I beg your pardon, still to go. That's what a great move that was on the outside of left field. You don't often see that work, but Paris Burrell just basically said, hold my beer, I'm having this, and made it work. Well played to them. Villecamper is keeping Christian Hausmann company, although he's not able to really hustle too hard at the moment for the lead, as Neon has flown off the road, going through Cops into Magnus and Beckett. But Sam Bean, wow, didn't he really take command of that and wrestle the lead from John Evans? He's got himself a good 0.6 of a second's gap as well. Does he have the pace in the Williams that the real team wish it had? We will see as that continues to rumble on. Now, of course, all their tyre lives are fairly similar. Dylan Warren's tyres slightly older, but at this point it won't make a blind bit of difference. As Neon has come into the pits now, that's quite a way to make the softs last, but I guess with a lighter car you could try and make that one work. I just don't know where that's going to go. I really don't know how that potential lead pack is going to fall out. I have no idea. Again, that's why we love it.
Absolutely, unpredictability factor comes into huge effect here, and if Neon has mastered his overcut strategy, then he'll be able to overtake them all, but that is not going to be the case, of course, with the spin and being on the older tyres. That wouldn't have helped him at all, as the leaders at the moment, Christian Hausmann and Villecamper, doing battle at the moment, but the real fight we'll want to be watching here is the fight for the net race lead, and it seems like they have all... I think they're getting into a rhythm. I would say. They're not looking like they want to challenge too much at this point. Potentially through the hangar straight and Maggots and Beckett's and stuff, they could try. But I think they're just trying to settle into a rhythm at this point so he can get to the end on the set of the tyres there on, especially the likes of Dylan Warren and Channa Kinchie, pitting a couple of laps earlier than their rivals like Samuel Bean, who actually has only got 2 laps on his tyres, so he is really in the best condition, same as Paris Burrell. Those two I'd say can completely get to the end at this point, so we'll have to watch out for them in the later phase of this Grand Prix. We're almost at the halfway point, and your leaders at the moment are Christian Hausmann and Oscar Villacampa, but the net lead at the moment belongs to Samuel Bean. It could be going the way of HX4K very soon if he wants to go up the inside line through a Stowe corner potentially. No, he backs out. He wasn't close enough to go for the overtake, and I think that's made his intentions clear. He doesn't want to overtake his rival for a couple of laps here, so HX4K can be following along in P4 at the moment.
Yeah, battery amounts aren't too bad either. 80% for Sam Bean, which is impressive as he's leading that particular pack. Yes, he's not long taking it, but HX4K with about 76%. Dylan Warren a bit less, about 52, but still not too bad. Channa Kinchie's battery's nearly full. Paris Burrell's got about 40%, so he's used quite a bit to get into the position he's in. And Ruben Pedreño is in a similar position. So the Alpha Tauris may well have used quite a lot of energy in their particular scrap. So yeah, we will see. Now the pack are catching a McLaren. That's the ghosted McLaren of Sam McBride, who's pitted again and is now on medium tyres. At the moment, it doesn't look like Sam Bean feels the need to defend anywhere. I think you're absolutely right, Dan. That top pack, or what will be the top pack, are just biding their time. No one's trying any big, desperate moves. No one's trying to force someone else into a mistake. They're just going through the motions. They know how important it is to keep some life in the tyres and, quite crucially, some life in the battery. All too often, we've seen people just, push and push and push to stay where they are in the hope that they can push a little bit later on to take a position, and they've got no tyres or no battery left to actually do it. So we'll see how this particular pack goes. Again, he's going to be in who blinks first out of that particular pack, and I'm very much looking forward to when these guys decide to drop the hammer.
Absolutely, and we're not too far off that. We're just at the halfway stage of this race, as Neon on his set of the fresh compounded tyres, he's catching up to the back of, I believe that Jari Fitz, a ghosted car, if I'm not mistaken, or he might have had an incident somewhere. No, he is. I wonder what's happened to Jari Fitz there. He was not that far back. I think I've just completely blanked out there. Haven't noticed that the Alfa Romeo has lost a lot of time in comparison to his rivals. Currently running in 9th position at the moment. That will be P7 once Hausmann and Villacampa come into the pit lane. But Neon now following onto the back of him at this point in time. He'll be very competitive in comparison if he does end up catching the top drivers, of course, on the set. That's red striped soft compounded tyres. I believe at IndyCar they call it the sticker reds, which I really enjoy, as through Copse Corner they go. Through Maggots and Beckett's. I don't think either of them will want to make a move. We'll check back in with our net leaders at this moment, because I think Dylan Warren's closing up to the back of HX4K, potentially in towards Stowe Corner. This is a characteristic of the DRS trained drivers. Get the benefit of DRS, but it cancels it out because your rivals in front of you and behind you all have the same effects as the ghosted car of Sam McBride. It's being lapped now by his teammate. We're on board with the McLaren car of Dylan Warren, and there he goes through his teammate as Joshua Kazani gets a 3-second penalty. He's currently in 16th position on a set of the hard compound tyres, so I think he can go to the end at least on that set. I'd imagine they're all trying for a safety car in this race. They just want to stay out as long as possible and hope that the safety car comes out and then saves their race from being completely down the drain. I imagine the two leaders at the moment, Villacampa and Hausmann, also are hoping for the exact same thing.
Anything is possible. And we've seen the safety car come out several times this season, as you said earlier, Dan. Villacampa and Hausmann have swapped round. So Villacampa in the Ferrari now leading the way from the Alfa Romeo of Christian Hausmann as they work their way through Chapel onto the hangar straights. Will they pit this time? Let's see as they come up to Stowe now. Dylan Warren getting quite close to the back of HX4K. And yep, both the leaders have come in. I think that's a good time to do it. And soft tyres for them. They're going to be a little bit off the back of the lead pack at the moment, as Neon is now right on the back of Yari Fitz. I think Yari's just having a bad race. He's just not going his way. He's not ghosted. I haven't seen him disconnect and reconnect. It's just going badly for Yari Fitz, unfortunately. But Neon fairly easily dispatches of Yari Fitz. Is now in 9th position as the pack comes past the pitted Ferrari and Alpha. Where will they reappear? Are they going to be beaten by Neon and Yari? They should be. Yep, Neon is through. And Yari Fitz comes out as Villacampa and Houseman come out right behind Yari Fitz. I would imagine Yari's going to be a little bit uncomfortable there on the medium tyres. Don't discount Neon from still getting involved in that top pack.
Oh, dear.
Dylan Warren's lagged. Dylan Warren just lagged for a moment. He's suddenly dropped to 6th place behind Ruben Pedreño.
This does happen quite a lot with Dylan Warren. His internet plagues him as always, and I don't know if he's been in 6th all this time on his screen, but he's now behind Ruben Pedreño, who just runs a little bit wide through there. A bit unfortunate, I'd say, for Dylan Warren, because he had some great pace in this one. He's just been shafted back down the order. I believe he's lost, 3 positions for that? Yeah, it's unfortunate, but he's going to be challenging the back of Ruben Pedreño, and he's going to be right on the rear in towards the corner up the inside line. This is dangerous from Dylan Warren there, but brave, committed and bold. He's going to still hold it through the Vale chicane. This is an awful camera angle that we're seeing there. He swings around the outside of Ruben Pedreño. He does that very nicely indeed on Ruben Pedreño, who now falls back into 6th position again, as I think the battle still continue in this race, because Paris Burrell looking onto the back of Chanakinchi for now P3. He's about 2/10 behind the Turkish driver, the Aston Martin car. We'll see them through the Wellington straight here off the exit of the loop section. And no, he's not close enough to challenge for a move, but brilliant stuff coming out there from Dylan Warren. And he overtakes Ruben Pedreño. And now he's back up into 5th position, going to be seeking a vengeance. Brilliant stuff from him there, I'd say.
Yeah, that was a pretty determined move from Dylan Warren. He's probably annoyed that he's had some kind of issue that's dropped him, whatever the technical problem is, whether it's screen freeze or internet problem, whatever it was, it dropped him down several positions. Didn't drop him particularly far down the road, but it's just that's how close that pack is. So he's pretty determined to regain lost time as, that's going to be painful for Chanakinchi. A 3-second penalty for him will drop him down with Ruben Pedreño, who has got the same thing. Oh dear, oh dear. That's going to hurt. What's that? Oh, bigger pardon. That's a 5-second penalty for Ruben Pedreño for speeding in the pit lane. Ooh, well, that's going to take a bit of pressure off of HX4K, if nothing else. But obviously, they're still going to scrap over the available bits of tarmac, as we're now within 10 laps left to go of this race. People are going to start thinking about where they're going to start to push and really pressure on for the top spots. Yari Fitz, that's impressive considering his tyres are the oldest in this particular pack. He's also got Neon right on his tail, so Neon's not made it past Yari Fitz as yet. Oh no, he did earlier, so they've swapped round again. And now Villacampa and Christian Houseman with fresh tyres are in that fight. So that's a great scrap going on for 7th position. That's Norberto that is out. He's retired that one in the pit lane from 16th position. His day gets no better. Where is Norberto on the championship table? Why can't I find him? There he is. Yeah, he's in 10th at the minute, but yeah, he's not having a good run of it, and sadly he's retired his car in the pit lane. That's the end of his day.
Yeah, he was outside the points anyway, so he wasn't going to be making up anything from this race. Someone who does have quite a bit to lose at the moment is Chanakinchi, though, because he's got a time penalty to his name, and I assume it's a 3-second one, and he'll be looking to challenge to the back of HX4K, who's also looking onto the back of Samuel Bean through the Vale chicane. I think they're all getting a little bit more racy as we enter the final third of this race. Beginning lap number 19. 18 laps of 26 now completed. Yellow flags have cleared in the first sector, so they can all go racing as HX4K following onto the back of Samuel Bean and Chad Kinchie following onto the back of HX4K. John Evans, of course, now through the loop section off the exit. A little bit of a slide for Samuel Bean there, but it is him getting actually the better exit than HX4K as Joshua Kazani retires in the pit lane here. Here is John Evans trying to look to the inside line of Samuel Bean. Doesn't quite find an avenue to overtake through Luffield, running out wide and then swooping it back through this sector here. And through Woodcote onto the national pit straight. All the drivers filing through. Chad Kinchie trying to do his best to close up to the back of John Evans. Get a good run through Cops Corner to set himself up through Maggot and Beckett. And I think he's done a brilliant job of that now, as through Maggot and Beckett and in towards Chapel. And this is where it could all change, because they come onto the hanger straightaway here, opening up DRS. Samuel Bean weaving down the straightaway to try and break the toe. John Evans now has to defend to the inside line of Chad Kinchie as they all stay in their positions. Brilliant stuff though from them to all just keep it controlled, as Chad Kinchie still trying to take a bite at the cherry as he almost goes into the back of HX4K through the Vale chicane. But I don't think they can make a move stick at this part of the circuit, but it's all getting so close at the top of the order. I'm excited for the final couple of laps.
Yeah, I thought this would happen. They're now starting to realise they're losing time, or they've decided now to get on with it. Neon has just fought his way past Yari Fitz coming through club. Also, Jeffrey Ritchie has had a spin, and he's lost his fair of his bits of his front wing, so that Haas is going to be coming back in to the pit, and there he goes. He's now come in. Yari Fitz is really determined to try and get back past Neon and Villa Camper and Kristen Hausman side by side. Lots of action going on. The top four, well, top six still separated by only a few seconds. Sam Bean still under a lot of pressure to hang on to the lead. It's great. It's a great problem to have when you don't know where to look. Oh no, Kristen Hausman spun. Hausman has spun in the Alfa Romeo. Careful about how you rejoin the track, sir. As that is Christian Sandell has gone past him. Tom Martinez in the Alpine right with him. So that's a shame, because he was having a great scrap with Villa Camper and Yari Fitz. That drops him out of that particular battle. That three-way fight goes on. Neon, Yari Fitz and Villa Camper. As is Paris Burrell. Paris Burrell's going to make a move on Chad Kinchie. He's gone for the inside line of left Stone. No, can't quite get it done, but really piling the pressure on the Aston Martin.
Brilliant stuff there to not go into the back of him as there's more battles. Yari Fitz trying to look down the inside line of Shazoo Neon. He's taking it to these. Oh my goodness me, as Neon goes back up the inside, he's taking it to the soft runners. As I was saying, the medium tyres on Yari Fitz's car as Villa Camper. He's looking onto the back at the moment. Yari Fitz holding to the inside line so he can't swoop around and make an overtake. He's going to come back at him. Yari Fitz so racy in this one here. He tries to look up the inside line, but he does not go for the overtake. Possibly into the loop section. Not quite there. Yari Fitz, take a bow. To be completely honest with me, he's doing splendidly for drivers who are on soft tyres. I'd imagine Neons are actually not feeling in great condition, but Villa Camper, he is pretty much prime at the moment. 4 laps on his set of the red soft tyres. As a yellow flag through sector 3. I don't know. I think that might be for Jeffrey Ritchie having some sort of off. As we continue on this one. Oh dear. Hopefully he's not trying to cause a safety car like we saw, of course, in the last 2 races. But from Neon, not Neon. Why am I saying Neon? Neon won the last race. Well done to him. From HX4K, he caused a safety car on purpose, and of course. That's not allowed, and hopefully Jeffrey Ritchie isn't trying to repeat that. Lap 21 does continue onwards, though. They're about to come onto the lap 22, and it is getting so spicy at the moment.
That it is. So Sam Bean leads HS4K, leaves Chad Kinchie, leads Paris Burrell, leads Dylan Warren, leads Ruben Pedrania. Now Ruben has fallen a little bit off the back of that lead pack at the moment, about 8 tenths just under for him, as Louis Walsh has got himself a 3-second penalty. He is in 13th at the moment. That's not going to make a great deal of difference. Christian Hausman, with his fresh soft tyres, has now got the fastest lap. So after his spin, he's now pressing on to try and make up for lost time. you just get the feeling that certainly that top 5, if Ruben Pedreño can get involved in it, it'll be the top 6. That's very much a tinderbox, isn't it? It's ready to go bang with some great action going on. Hopefully it's not bang of cars into the wall, not the bang I'm referring to, but it just feels like there's so much action ready to go off. And that what is now three-way battle of Neon, Jari Fitz and Villacampa is still raging on for 7th position. Neon fending off the advances of Jari Fitz. Villacampa sizing up a move. Is he coming down into Cops? No, he doesn't banzai that one. He's staying where he is at the moment. There's just lots of people sizing up their moments. People trying to get the move done down into Stowe. But like you say, that DRS train is just too strong. Jeffrey Ritchie making it for last time. And now gets the fastest lap on the board. He was the one that was going slowly earlier.
Yeah, he's in 15th position, so he won't get that point. As what is happening down the order, they're all fighting it out as Neon loses 2 positions. Villacampa sweeps around the outside of him there. Could potentially try and fight this back into the Vale chicane. Contact between the pair of them. That might be a slight bit of wing damage considering we're on simulation in this one here. As Neon off the exit of the final corner, I think he's going to have to concede that position. Villacampa is looking very quick, but on lap 23 here, we can watch HX4K potentially try and challenge Samuel Bean at this point, as he doesn't seem like he's close enough. He's more, I thought he was going for the move. I thought he was closer than he was, but perspective really does ruin things there, as he was just pulling out the slipstream, I think maybe to cool his engine a little bit there. He's currently probably in the best position, I'd say, to win this race. HX4K could take the dub here, of course, with the DRS assistance, and he's got plenty in the battery as well. I think Samuel Bean's using up some of his, trying to escape from the Mercedes driver. He is certainly in a great position, but Shanakinchi as well, with a time penalty to his name. He's got almost less to lose, honestly, because he's going to lose these positions anyways towards the end at this point. I'd imagine so, at least, unless he can pull out a monstrous gap. So he might be more inclined to go for these moves. Oh no!
Oh no!
HX4K goes into the back of Samuel Bean. We've just caught that one there. John Evans, heartbreak for him. He looked like he was in great stead to win this race, now with a big amount of wing damage, and maybe there's damage to Samuel Bean's rear wing as well. John Evans going into the back of his main rival in this race, as now they've all swapped positions around, because here comes Paris Burrell. If he can overtake Samuel Bean, he might actually win this Grand Prix and be our first repeat winner, but Shanakinchi still has something to say about it there, as lap 24 of 26, big drama. We might see that in the steward's room if there was some moving along in the braking zone. I'm not too sure if that has happened here, but heartbreak, I'd say, for John Evans.
That was the smallest of mistakes as well, and yeah, he's obviously not looking to bring that in just yet. He may opt to just carry on with the damage with only a few laps to go, but the tiniest of mistakes. But that's the live or die mentality, but when the field is this close, and they've been that way lap after lap after lap, after race after race after race. We've had the top 5, what is now the top 5, all in the same camera shot for the win all race long. So you can understand that John was doing his best to stay in the tyre tracks, try and pick his moment, but that tiny mistake, taking his eye off the ball at the crucial time, as Jari Fitz now adds his name to the penalty board, has now just completely ruined his race. Does John Evans come in? No, he's off. He's not bothering to change the wing with only 2 laps left. Samuel Bean could well become the first repeat winner. He's still on course to do so. Shanakinchi is not likely to undo that 3-second penalty. He'll be kicking himself for that. He really will. But in fairness, that's only actually going to drop him to 4th, as Ruben Pedreño's got a 5-second penalty on the board. So it'll drop him off the podium, but at least it's not going to plummet him miles behind. Dylan Warren is still in there, so let's not forget the McLaren that was leading for a while. Shanakinchi getting very close to the back of Sam Bean. You've got to hand it to Sam Bean as well. He's absorbed all this pressure brilliantly well for so long.
Yeah, they've been really close in this race, and Samuel Beans has done a great job to hold off the train who had the effect of DRS. And imagine that HX4K just decided to stay out because he is in position to get points, so there's no point retiring with 2 laps to go. So I do respect him for at least staying out and trying his best in this race. But we do still have a battle for the lead raging on. Samuel Bean really going to be feeling the pressure from his rivals at the moment. We've got 1 and a bit laps to go. We're just through the final sector for the penultimate time. In towards Stowe Corner comes Chanakinchi. I'd expect this is Dylan Warren getting very leery off the exit there. Somehow he's managed to save it. And I think that would have been a heart-in-mouth moment for the young British driver. That's invited Rum Pedreño back into the fray here as we begin the final lap of what has been a brilliant race. Cloud coverage begins to form above the circuit, so maybe if we were a couple of maybe 10 or 20 minutes on, we could have seen some rain, which would have really thrown some spice into the mix. But for the final time, they fly through the loop section and on towards the Wellington Straight. If they have ERS, now is the time that they've got to use it, as Chanakinchi's got about 44% left in the battery there. We'll see them coming through now in towards Brooklands. Chanakinchi getting so close to the back of Samuel Bean here as battles further back behind. Villacampa gets past his TF10 teammate of HX4K, who's just going to be dropping like a stone down the order through now towards Cops Corner for the final time, as it seems like most of the top drivers have all separated in this pack here. As Chanakinchi, what can he do through Maggot and Beckett for the final time in this PSGL F2 race? We'll see what he can do now through Chapel Corner. He's got a penalty to his name, but he might get it removed. We do not know, as they come onto the hanger straight for the final time in this race here. Chanakinchi now, where's he going to go? He has to look to the outside line in towards Stowe Corner. Can he be brave on the brakes around the outside line? Pray that they don't make contact, and what a move in from Chanakinchi. But it is going to be Samuel Bean trying to challenge him back towards the outside line of the Vale chicane. And now, oh my goodness me, they're so close to contact. But through the final corners, it's going to be on track Chanakinchi to win this race. Samuel Bean, though, with the penalties applied, he takes the win in Britain. Paris Burrell 1/10 off of winning it all in the end. Dylan Warren gets his first penalty podium of the season, and Chanakinchi with that penalty falls down into 4th position. But what a race we have just witnessed there, as the gap between the two leaders, you could probably blink at around about that time. Samuel Bean takes the win, and he is our first repeat winner of the series pending stewards results. Brilliant stuff from him there.
That was a fantastic move from Chanakinchi. You can't fault that. And brilliantly driven by Sam Bean as well. Oh, crikey. How are we going to nominate Driver of the Day from this one?
Oh, God. I do not know how.
Yeah, Yari Fitz finished 1,000th after time adjustment behind HX4K. That was because of a penalty, but 1,000th of a second. 6,000th of a second for Kristen Hausman. Very nicely done. As the final car to come over the line is Jeffrey Ritchie, who's been facing the wrong way a couple of times on this particular race. Oh, I don't know. It's difficult not to look at Sam Bean. Dylan Warren had a great run. I mean, I reckon Paris Burrell, finishing a 10th off the top spot, starting in 12th. I'm going to go Paris Burrell, who was my option for winning the race. I wasn't far off.
You know what? I might be inclined to agree with you there. But wow, what a race we have just witnessed here. Because it's kind of cliche, I guess, to go with the same driver of the day. I'm going to dissent from you. And you know what? I'm going to pick Dylan Warren. Even though I could have gone with the safe option of Samuel Bean. I think Dylan Warren, he was in a great position, of course, setting pole. He started on the front row. And he only fell back into 3rd, but getting his first podium of the season. And I'd say he'd be very pleased with that. I actually don't think he got a podium last season when he was in F1. Of course, that was our only tier on PC. But I'd say he'd be very pleased with that one there. As to be fair to Connor, he was actually very close to getting the prediction right. But that still rolls on to next week, potentially. As let's have a full rundown of our race. Samuel Bean takes the win here. Paris Burrell in 2nd, 3rd for Dylan Warren, rounding off the podium. Of course, if Chanakinchi does decide that he can get one of those penalties removed, and I'll actually check the race director in just a moment after we run through the order, he could still potentially take the win. So don't count on your laurels, Samuel Bean, as Rum Pedreño in 5th, 6th for Villacampa, 7th for HX4K, Yari Fitz in 8th, 9th for Neon, and Tom Martinez is the last driver inside the top 10. The rest of the order is looking like that. I don't have time to go through it there, But that is the end of the British Grand Prix in PSGL. And on the whole, I'd say that was a pretty decent race in terms of driving standards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A few mistakes here and there, but, no one's perfect. They will make mistakes. Even the greats make mistakes. But, yeah, we didn't see anything really too stupid, did we, this time around? Obviously, there have been a few notable instances in the last few weeks, but that was spot on. I'm very, very pleased with that. That was brilliant fun to commentate on, and we hope that you watching along either live or post-event enjoyed it as much as we did.
Absolutely, it was a brilliant race, and hopefully in F2 in the second half of the season there is more like that to come. Next week the F2 drivers will be taking to the Red Bull Ring in Austria for a 36 lap slobber. It's going to be a brilliant one there. Everyone does love a little bit of Austria, and if your PSGL thirst or hunger is not quenched and or satiated, there we go, got the saying right, then of course you can check in tomorrow for the PSGL F1 grid, of course the PC grid. I was seeing some questions about Jarno in that one. He'll be racing tomorrow, don't you worry. You can come back at 7 p.m. for George Morgan, and in his last F1 race in PSGL, Jack Canan, who's going off to uni, and I do wish him the best of luck. But from me and Chris, for the final time, from my perspective, I'd actually just like to say a great big thank you for the opportunity to be going to F1 next for the second half of the season. It's been a brilliant experience to be doing F2. I wish all the drivers the best of luck in the second half, and of course I do wish luck to my co-commentator Chris, who's been absolutely brilliant with me so far, and I know him and Jacob Hancock are going to do an absolutely stunning job for Austria.
Very kind of you, good sir. It's been a great pleasure to work alongside your good self. And like I said at the top of the show, a very worthy promotion. You've worked very hard for it. And I very much look forward to seeing the coverage, as I'm sure a lot of you are watching along, of the F1 coverage with Dan and George at the helm.
Absolutely. So for tonight, I believe that is all we have to say in F2. You can catch us next. You can catch Jacob and Chris next week at the same time, of course, 8 p.m. For the Austrian Grand Prix. But from us tonight, it is thank you and goodbye. Make sure you all are staying safe in this crazy world that we live in. Make sure you check out tomorrow's streams and, of course, the PlayStation streams over the weekend and on Monday. But from us, it is goodbye, and we will see you all very, very soon.